Welcome back to the class. For the SPM questions, right, I have go through some of the papers, the trial papers this year. That means your batch, the trial papers from each states. And then I found out some of the similarities in certain questions. So I will consider that one as the tips of the paper, SPM paper. So based on the trials questions, right, in paper one, hold on, I write it down like this. So if possible, then you can write down on your own also. Okay, so for paper one, I found that some almost all of the states paper got functions questions. That means it's kind of like compulsory questions. There is, if you still remember, paper one, we have bahagian A and bahagian B, part A and part B. The part A is the compulsory questions that you need to answer all the questions. Answer all the questions. And then for the part B is the longer questions where you need to, where the questions is a bit longer, 8 marks questions. Part A is the shortest questions. Still remember, Okay, so for part B, you can choose also, right? Hold on, let me double confirm. I scared I confuse also. Okay, for part A, there is 1 to 12 questions, right? All compulsory questions. For part B, you need to choose, right? Hold on. Part B is 8 marks questions where you need to choose how many? You need to choose 2 questions. Out of 3, normally is 3 questions. Okay, you choose 2. This one, choose 2, and each questions is like 8 marks. Okay, we go for part A first. For the part A questions, function is one of the compulsory questions that it comes out in almost all the paper in all states. And then the functions, please put focus in the composite function. Composite function. And also the modulus one, the question might ask you to sketch the graph. Sketch graph for the modulus function like fx. Fx equals to the modulus 2x plus 1, for example. Modulus, the question might ask you to sketch a graph and then find the range of the image or find the range of the function. That means you need to write out what is the range of the image, the fx. Your answer shall be fx and then more than or less than something. Normally it starts with 0 and then to the maximum point like that. Okay, so composite function, sketching graph, that one, and also find the range of the image, and also pay attention to the inverse function, where the inverse functions is involving the drawing graph also. There is some of the state got these questions, but not so many, and it can be in paper 2 as well, the inverse function. Like the question give you a line like this one, okay, and then this is fx, for example, asking you to draw the inverse of fx, okay, where you need to draw a line, diagonal line like this one, y equals to x, and then the functions will be like this one. You need to draw the inverse graph. This is one part of it. And then another one is the quadratic equation, Form 4, Chapter 2, quadratic functions. Quadratic function. Okay, there is sure we'll have one or two questions in this chapter. And then I found it very popular this year is the completing square thingy. So make sure you know how to do the completing square. And also completing square, after you do the completing square, you will get the vertex form, right? Vertex form, that means you have like y equals to a, x plus 2 squared plus a number like this. And then the question might ask you about the range of a. Ask about this one, range of a. If it is U-shaped, then the a shall be more than 0. If it is N-shaped, then a shall be less than 0. Okay, and then you will need to know how to read the maximum or minimum point coordinates of maximum or minimum point. Yeah? That means it is somehow related to this value and this value. And also about the axis of symmetry. Yeah. Axis of symmetry, and also the maximum value or minimum value. Okay, this kind of thing. Okay, this is the chapter 2. Especially the completing square is quite popular this year, or else it will give you the equation in the vertex form and then asking you to find some of the value in the vertex form. So you will need to know how to read it from the vertex form and also from the graph lah. Normally, if question give you like a graph like this one, and then it gives you some of the coordinates, and then you will need to know how to link the coordinate, maximum coordinate here to this one. Okay, and then third one is the third chapter. Indices, surd, and logarithm, that one from chapter 4. Okay, quite normal, and we don't, because it is quite a big chapter, so we can't really target very specific what will become out in the chapter 4 from the chapter 4. But for the surd, since it is new to the syllabus, almost all the state paper got surd, and also about the rationalize the surd. So pay attention to the surd. But indices and logarithm sure is important one. They sure have some problem about indices and also logarithm, but it's too big chapter already. So hard to predict, but it certainly will come out one. Indices and logarithm. Okay, but the third one confirm will come out also. And more about rationalize the surd. Rationalize surd. Rationalize is when you see like the denominator here got a surd, or you have like something surd 3 plus 3, for example. You have surd as the denominator here, then you need to rationalize it. So this one is like times surd 3 times surd 3. Let's say here is 2, 2. You sure have a number on top lah. Okay, if rationalize the surd 3 plus 3, then you need to times it with conjugate, if you still remember. Times it with this surd 3 minus 3. Times it with conjugate. Conjugate. Okay, so logarithm, indices, and also surd. Surd is the new thing in the chapters, so pay attention for this one. And then next part is quite popular one is AP and GP. And then I found out that the AP and GP questions is more to problem solving questions this year. Almost all the state paper, they will give you a conditions, like give you a lot of circles, and then saying that it follows the arithmetic progression or geometric progression like that. So this part is more to problem solving. So the first thing you need to know is read the questions properly, and then from the question, it certainly will tell you what thing follow AP or GP. It will say like the area forms AP or GP. Okay, or it will tell you the length of the circumference forms the AP or GP. So you need to read it properly. What is the information in the question saying that it forms arithmetic progression or geometric progression? And then from there, you need to form the progression first, and then find out your A value, and then the difference, or the A value and the R value, and then put it into the formula only. Okay, so APGP is more the problem solving. Practice some of the questions from there. And then another one is vector. Vector, quite popular, is about the positional vector. Positional vector. Positional vector is the question will give you a coordinates, like point A here, coordinate is 2, 3. So the positions vector will be 2i plus 3j, if you still remember. So this one is O. Positional vector refers to OA. Okay, 2i plus 3j, or else you write it in the vector form, 2, 3 like this. Okay, so pay attention for this part also, the positional vector. And also the question might ask you to find the magnitude if you still remember, magnitude, and also the unit vector. Okay, and then next one is about the, what's that called already? Form 4 also, the coordinate geometry. The chapter of coordinate geometry. Okay, about the M1, M2 perpendicular line. The M1, M2 equals to -1, that one. Quite a lot of questions about this one. It will give you like a curve and also a straight line saying that it is tangent, and then saying that another normal line, something like that, or ask you to form the equations of a normal line. So the M1, M2 equals to -1, this part. Okay, quite popular this year also. And also another one quite popular is the almost all states paper got also. This one, the divisor of segment. You have a straight line and then you have a point here, and then you have like ratio, like let's say this one is 2, 3, and then you have this point, this is like 2, 3, for example. This is like 10, 11. Ask you to find the coordinate of the middle one. Of course, the question won't tell you so straight. It might be on a map, and then it says that the ratio of a town to another town is like how. And then, yeah, it is about this formula. So you need to know how to find the points and also, yeah, remember the formula. Okay, so this is one of the popular one. Okay, and then another one is the trigonometry. Okay, the trigonometry is quite big topic also lah, hard to target. Okay, so but this one hard to target, but yeah, you need to familiarize with a lot of things, because almost in all the parts in paper 1 and paper 2 will have trigonometry questions. Paper 1, part A, part B. Paper 2, part A will have trigonometry also. So if I divide it on your paper 1 got 2 parts, and then paper 2 you got 3 parts. So trigonometry questions might come out in part A, part B, and also paper 2, part A. So like quite a lot of the bahagian that can have trigonometry questions. So please pay attention to the trigonometric graph also. You need to know how to sketch a graph. Okay, this is very important. Okay, because in paper 2 they certainly will have trigonometric graph. Okay, but in paper 1, right, they might draw you the graph, and then you might need to write out the formula, or else they will ask you to sketch the simple graph of trigonometry, or else from the graph you need to find some value. Okay, so the trigonometric graph, if you still remember, sine, cos, tangent, 3 of them have different pattern, different shapes of the graph. Okay, and then trigonometry one, hold on, finding the angle, that part, find the angles. That one you will need to know how to find the angles also. That one is related to like, let's say you have sine theta equals to 0.5. You need to know it is positive, so it will be in the first quadrant and second quadrant, the C, A, S, T, this thing. Okay, sine positive will be in first quadrant, second quadrant, and then how to get the theta, this one, shift -1, 0.5. So find the basic angle, then only you do something from this one. Basic angle is the first quadrant, 180 minus the basic angle is the second quadrant. Third quadrant will be 180 plus, the fourth quadrant will be 360 minus. Okay, so this is trigonometry one. Okay, and then next part is the Form 5 topics, the circular measure, the first chapter about the S equals to R theta, and also the area of the sector, that one. So area equals to 1/2 R squared theta. Okay, these questions might be related to trigonometry. It might be related to the, what's that called? The progression also, APGP. Okay, so, but this is quite simple topic, but sometimes the question can be quite complicated. It might be about the circle theorem also, like the angle, Okay, so it can be combinations of a few topics for this one. Okay, so make sure you know how to do it. The basic one is S equals to R theta, area of the sector, A equals to 1 over 2 R squared theta. And also another one is the area of segment, if you still remember. Area of segment is like, this is a sector, okay? If you have a line like this one, find this part, area of segment, okay? So you need to minus the triangle also, right? Area of sector minus the triangle. Sector minus the triangle. So the area of sector is 1 over 2 R squared theta. The triangle is 1 over 2 AB sine C. Okay, so make sure you know how to do this one. Okay, and then in bahagian A, it might be having the differentiation, and then quite popular this year is the differentiation questions. They might give you the like d dx x squared plus 2 over 2x plus 3, for example, equals to gx. And then the question asking you to do integration of gx dx like 2, 1. So in this case, you will need to know that d over dx, then that means on this part, the whole thing, this one, this whole thing is actually the y. So when you integrate the gx, you will get back the y, right? So when you do the integration of gx, that means you will need to have x squared plus 2 over 2x plus 3, this whole thing, 2, 1, like this. This is quite popular this year. I will put a lot of star here. Sounds like a lot of the states are doing the same question. It sounds like it may be a compulsory questions that will be coming out in paper 1. Okay, this one differentiation, and also quite popular this year also about the gradient function. Gradient of a curve, which is dy dx, right? It might give you a curve with the equation of the curve. You will need to find the gradient of the curve, which is the dy dx thingy. Okay, and it might ask you to find the maximum point, minimum point, or the stationary point. NERY. Okay, where dy dx equals to 0, this part. So put attention for this one. And also another one is integration, finding the area, integration. Okay, find the area. I find it, this one, pay more attention also. I find it in that state paper, if it didn't come out in paper 1, it will come out in paper 2 for the finding area, this part. So make sure you know how to do, find the area. Okay, so I top up a bit. If you know how to find the area, please learn also how to find the volume. The volume generated when the graph turns 360 degrees around the x-axis or around the y-axis, the part. Okay, so integration, finding the area and volume, this part, please make sure you know how to do. And also, oh yeah, the, what's that called? The permutation and combination, that chapter. Permutation and combination. Oh, this year, the question like to ask you to prove something. So the NCR equals to n factorial over r factorial, and then n minus r factorial, right? Okay, this one, please memorize it. It's not given in the formula list. And also another one is NPR equals to n factorial over n minus r factorial, this part. Okay, it's not given in the formula list, so you need to memorize this one. And then the question like to ask you to find the value. It's like it gives you a condition. For example, it says that n plus 2 P3 equals to 30n. Okay, find the value for n. So how do you do it? You need to use the formula. This is P, right? Permutation, right? So you will need to use this formula. Then it will be like n plus 2 factorial over n plus 2 minus 3 factorial equals to 30n. From here, you solve it. Okay, your state paper like to ask questions like this kind of questions, or asking you to prove something. Like they give you like 2c0 equals to 1, prove this or something like this. Okay, so make sure you know how to do it. If you find it really difficult for you to do, then you might need to give up. Don't spend too much of time stuck in these questions. Okay, I know that it's not easy questions. Okay, and then another one is the binomial graph. Binomial graph. Okay, binomial graph is quite popular this year also. A lot of the question asking you to sketch a graph. So before the sketching graph, you will need to know how to find the binomial. Normally you will have the x value and then the px equals to r, and then the x is 0, 1, 2, 3, for example. If you have 3 trials, then until 3 only. Okay, and then you need to remember all these items plus together, all these 4 probability plus together, it shall be equals to 1. Okay, if there is only 3 trials, n equals to 3 only. Okay, the binomial graph, if you still remember, something like this one, straight line going up one. Okay, px equals to r, and then this one is x, 0, 1, 2, 3. Like if the question have 3 trials, then you have 3 straight line only. Okay, and then this probability, the value at the side here, this one, and then this one, then the value at the side here is actually the probability. Okay, all the probability plus together shall be equals to 1. Okay, binomial graph, you will need to know how to sketch, how to draw the graph. Drawing the graph, you will need to label. Normally, label is 1 mark, and then you plot the points correctly, 1 mark, and then you draw the line. Draw the line with ruler. Must be with ruler. Draw the line with ruler. There is 1 mark. So 3 marks question for drawing the binomial graph. Or normally, you will have the binomial graph. The question will ask you to find some of the value. For example, like if this one is 1 over 2, and then you got 1 over 4, and then this is k value, this is 1 over 8, for example. The question might ask you to find the value of k. Something like this. Okay. And then, okay, this is basically paper 1 bahagian A. And then paper 1 bahagian B. Paper 1 bahagian B. Okay, if it is bahagian B here, you will need to choose 2 questions to answer, right? Okay. Almost all the state paper will have the simultaneous equation. It is Form 4, Chapter 3, Systems of Equations. It sounds like a math lah. System of equation. Okay. All state paper got these questions. Got the questions from this chapter in bahagian B. 8 marks. Okay. So this is like you need to form 3 equations first. You have 3 unknowns. Either you have 3 unknowns. Normally it's 3 unknowns lah. Okay. You will need to form 3 equations and then solve the simultaneous equation. So make sure you know how to do this one. And also another one, quite popular one, is a quadratic equation. Quadratic equation is like the bahagian A also lah. You will have a quadratic equation and then the vertex form asking you to find the maximum or minimum point, or SOR, POR, it will be here lah. Okay, and then another one is trigonometry. And then AP or GP questions, and also function questions in bahagian B. So what you can score here is, at least you can get 8 marks from this one, system of equation. This one is 100% will come out one. Okay, and then you choose another one questions from here lah. Okay, so this is paper 1 questions. Okay, any problems so far for paper 1? Is it a lot? Still okay, right? Yeah. Okay. And then for paper 2, huh? For paper 2, if you still remember, there is 3 parts, right? Paper 2 got part A, part B, and part C. For part A, there is certain topics you can see from the states paper, there is certain pattern from paper for part A, part B, and part C. So for paper 2, right? Hold on. Paper 2, part A questions is a compulsory question. You need to answer all. And then the average marks for each question is like 7 marks to 8 marks, 6, 7, 8, like that. And then for part B and part C, each question will be 10 marks, 10 marks. And you will need to choose 2, right? From choose 3 from bahagian B, choose 2 from bahagian C. So part A is answer all. And then this one, you need to choose 3. And then this one, you need to choose 2. Okay, so what you can score here is for paper 2, part A. Part A questions are, okay, simultaneous equation is a must. Again, if you can see from the states paper, you can study on your own also lah. Okay, simultaneous equation, the same topics also, systems of equation, that one. Okay, I write system of equation. System of equation. Okay, sounds like quite popular. Okay, almost all the paper 2 will have one of the question here, system of equation. So you see here, system of equation is easy to score one, because paper 1 you got system of equation in bahagian B here, 8 marks already. And then in paper 2, got again the system of equation. Okay, another like 6 to 8 marks also. Okay, so make sure you know how to do lah. It's either like 3 unknowns, or you will have like 2 equation where one of the equation got like x squared plus y squared equals to 12, for example, and another equation is 2x plus y plus 3 equals to 0. It might be like 2 equation, but one of the equation with power more than 1. Okay, so system of equation is one of it. And then another one, quite popular one, is the trigonometry questions. Trigonometry questions. If you still remember the trigonometry question, you got like 3 parts. The first part is like proving, and then second part is like drawing the graph, PH. And then the third part is like find the number of solution. Actually, on this pattern is like KBSM syllabus also. For the previous year's SPM, there is one questions for trigonometry like this. Part A is proving, part B is drawing the graph, part C is like find the number of solution. Okay, and then when I study your state papers, the paper 2 got similar questions also lah. From almost all the states paper got this pattern also. So I'm not sure whether the real SPM have a format for it or not, or like, yeah, because in the government syllabus, right, we call it the SKP. The government stated that there is no fixed format for any kind of the questions, but from the state paper, it seems like there is format. So I'm not sure whether there is a format for it or not. But now from the state paper, what I see here, then I tell you lah. What I see here from the state paper, it sounds like there is a certain pattern. So the pattern is like the previous SPM also. So system of equation is a must. Trigonometry question is a must also. The proving, drawing graph, find the solution, that one. Okay. And then another one, popular one in paper 2 is the differentiation, the dy dx, that one. Okay. This one, it might involve the graph. The graph here, I mean, is like the curve. Like the curve, then you have a tangent line. You have a tangent line. And then from the tangent line, you need to do something or find some value. Okay, so yeah, this one, and it might be combined with the coordinate geometry, that chapters where you need to find the y equals to mx plus c, the straight line equations or the normal line equations. Okay, or else it might be ask you to find the perpendicular bisector, if you still remember these words. When you see the bisector, that means it will pass through the midpoint. Okay, perpendicular, that means the m1, m2 equals to -1. Okay, the divided x question might combine with the coordinate geometry chapter lah. Okay, so make sure you know how to do this one. Okay, and also indices, third logarithm, that chapters in bahagian A. Okay, it might be APGP also. Okay, both AP and JP you need to know how to do, because from the state paper, if paper 1 is AP, paper 2 will be GP lah, or the other way around. Okay, so you will need to know how to do both of them, AP and GP. Okay, and then bahagian B and bahagian C is more fixed, the pattern. Okay, where you can score lah. Bahagian B here, okay, certainly will have is the linear graph. Linear graph question, if you still remember, a linear law, the chapters of Form 4, right? Form 4, chapter 6, linear law, there where you need to reduce that one, reduce the equation, that one, linear law. Okay, the pattern is like the previous SPM questions also. You will have to draw the graph, and then you will need to reduce the equation. Then after you reduce the equation, then you will need to read some of the value from the graph, that one. If you still remember last week, we do it, this one, hold on, let me show you. Something like this kind of questions. You have like two variables, you have a graph, and then you have the XY value. You will need to plot the graph. After you plot the graph, you need to find some of the value from the graph. These kind of questions in paper 2, part B. Must score questions, please make sure you know how to do 10 marks questions. Okay, hold on. Okay, so this is a must score. Let me put a few stars here. Okay, this is 10 marks. And then another one of it is probability. Probability, the binomial, and also the normal distribution. Like the previous SPM paper also. Part A will be binomial, and then part B will be the normal graph and normal probability. Okay. Make sure you know how to do. Okay, the third one is vector. Vector one is the, how to say, you have equations, and then it says that asking you to, you will have a situation, and then you will need to write down the vector, find the vector, and then bahagian B, normally it will give you like, given that OM equals to PX plus something plus Y, for example, and then you will need to from there form two equations, that one, and then bahagian C you will need to compare it, that one. Okay, the vector long questions, you find the previous SPM paper, there is a certain pattern for the vector questions also. You can go back and revise that one. Okay, another one is integration for area, and also volume. Okay, so bahagian B you need to choose 2 questions. So my advice is you choose 3 of this topic, and then make sure you know how to do it. Okay, so that in the exam you can certainly score it. It couldn't run away from these 4 topics, okay, for bahagian B. Okay, and then for bahagian C, bahagian C is 10 marks questions also, and then it's kind of fixed one also. Index, 10 marks certainly will come up. Kinematic question, kinematic, Kinematic, if you still remember about the velocity, acceleration, and displacements, that one. Okay. And then also inequality. I see from the state papers, kind of these 3 topics is fixed already in buoyancy. And also one of the questions, it can be different from each other, from any of the topics. But it sounds like it will be related to circular measurement, the S equals to R theta, area of sector, that one. Or else it will be related to the area of polygon or the circle theorem. Okay, so yeah, so buoyancy is kind of fixed one. Index, kinematic, inequality. My advice would be index question, score for index question, and inequalities question. Easiest to score. Whenever you see the question asking you to draw the graph, for me, it will be the easiest part to score marks for drawing graph. So whenever you see the question asking you to draw the graph, try your best to draw it. Okay. When you label the scale correctly, you will get 1 mark already. And you plot the point, follow what you have counted. If you plot them correctly, then you can get two marks already. Then you draw the line, another 1 mark. So it's like easy to score one. Okay, so that's the pattern of paper 2. Okay.